Welcome to my shop. My name is Guy, and I get asked quite often about my Incra TSLS table saw fence system. Today I'm going to explain some of the features, the benefits, and why I think this is the best table saw fence system on the market today. So let's take a look at the major components of this system. First of all is the rails. Now these are extruded aluminum. They're very straight. These are available in a 32 and a 52-inch model. Mine is a 32-inch. The second is the fence itself. Now this is very, very straight, very flat, and offers almost no deflection on it at all. Now this is the positioner itself, and this is the heart and soul of the system. This is what gives you its accuracy and repeatability throughout your entire project. There's a micro adjust knob right here. There's also a threaded rod that runs the length of the arm. Now this is a 32 tooth per inch threaded rod, and that works in conjunction with this, which is the clamp. So I can position this at, let's say, 3 inches or close enough to 3 inches, lock it down, and it's going to automatically go to a resolution of a 32nd of an inch. Extremely accurate, very easy to use. Now I'm going to show you how to actually zero the fence out to the table saw blade. This is almost like zeroing out a router. Very, very accurate. So I'm going to raise the table saw blade up to its full height. Then I'm going to slide the fence system over until it just kisses the blade. Then I'm going to go over to the clamp and put it at the micro adjust position. So right now with this arm down, the fence is unclamped. So I'm going to bring it up all the way to clamp it, and then I'm going to put it at half position right there. And now I can micro adjust this to the table saw blade. I had mentioned before that there's a 32 tooth per inch lead screw that runs on the back of the arm here. In the fully clamped position, that gives us a resolution of 1/32 of an inch. When it's in the micro adjust mode, with this knob here, I actually have a resolution of 1/1000th of an inch. Just incredible. Very easy to set up. So I have it set at 0 right now, and I'm not hitting the blade. It's almost there. So if I move this knob forward, it'll move the fence forward in 1/1000th of an inch increments. If I move it back towards me, I'll move it back. So I'm going to go forward thousandths of an inch at a time. And that's it right there. So now that I've got it set at perfect 0, I can zero this out. And when I clamp the carriage back into its fully locked position, I know that this is 0. If I move the fence to 1 inch and lock it in, it's going to be exactly 1 inch. Now that I've got the fence zeroed out to the blade, I can take this steel ruler here, which is on one of the tracks inside the arm, and there's a magnetic strip to hold it down. I can just move this until the hairline cursor is right at 0. And let that ruler lay flat in that track, and then lock it down. There's also another ruler right here that I like to use. I'm going to set that at 0 also. One thing I really like about this window with that hairline cursor, it's anti-parallaxing. Doesn't matter if I'm looking at it from this side or this side. If I put it at 0, I know it's at 0. So now I can unlock this. No matter where I put this on the track, if I set it, let's say, at 3 inches and lock it down, I know I'm going to be at 3 inches. So I'm going to show you how accurate this saw is. I'm going to make a couple cuts. I'm going to make a first cut at 3 inches where I'm set at. Then I'm going to make one at 5 inches, and then I'm going to make one at 2 inches. We'll take a look at those, but you'll see how quickly I move this saw fence to make those cuts. There is no bump and pray method of figuring out where that fence needs to be. So here are those 3 pieces again. I've got the 2 inch, the 3 inch, and the 5 inch. So what I'm going to first do is I'm going to take a measurement of this one here that should be 2 inches. Actually, I'm 1/1000th of an inch larger than that 2 inch. But now I can take this 2 inch and 3 inch, and that should equal 5, right? So if I take this stack it up and put this one next to it, this is perfectly flat up on top. It's just incredible. Now I know if I take this, right now the blade's set at 5 inches. If I go back to the table saw and cut another 2-inch and 3-inch piece from this, I'm not going to be able to because of the curve of the blade. Let's say I cut another 3 inches off of this. It's going to be exactly the same as this 3-inch one. Well, here's the first 3-inch piece I cut, and here's the second one. If I lay these on my table saw and put them up together, again, this is perfectly flat across the top. This is where not only accuracy comes into, but the repeatability. Let's say you screw up a piece and you've got to go back and make it. I mentioned this before, the bump and pray method is eliminated. All I have to do is set my fence to 3 inches, make a cut, and I know it's going to be exactly within several thousandths of an inch, exactly like the first one I cut. Another nice thing about this system is how accurately and safely you can cut thin strips of wood. 1/8, 1/16, 1/32 of an inch, use them for inlay, for shims, all kinds of different purposes. But when you're trying to use a normal table saw fence and you want to cut a 16th of an inch strip off the inside, not only is it dangerous, but it's very hard to do. Again, you have to do that whole bump and pray method. So I've still got the fence set here at 3 inches. This board is 3 3/4. So I'm going to set the fence down to 3 1/2. I'm going to make a rip cut. Well, after I've cut that down and I know this piece to be exactly 3 1/2 inches, I'm going to cut an 1/8 inch strip. So all I'm going to do is move my fence over 1/8 of an inch for the width of the kerf, and then another 1/8 inch, so it's down to 3 1/4. And I'm going to make another cut. Now that I've cut that 1/8 inch strip off here, I'm going to take my digital calipers and put it on there. And I'm at 0.0125. That is perfectly 1/8 of an inch. Now I can do the same thing with the 16th inch strip and a 32nd of an inch strip. All I have to do is move the fence over the correct amount, lock it down. Again, no bump and pray to figure out to make sure that's exactly where I need to be. So I've got those two strips. Here's the 32nd of an inch. Again, 1/32 of an inch. The resolution on this is down to 1/128 of an inch of these digital calipers. And that's 1/16 of an inch. Again, truly incredible. So let's take a look at a practical use of this. And this is something that all of us has been through. Let's say this is a 1/2 inch drawer side, and this is the 1/4 inch plywood bottom that we're going to use. Now we all know that 1/4 inch plywood is not 1/4 inch. This piece is actually 13/64. What you would normally do is you would take this, you'd run it over the table saw blade, which we know is 1/8 of an inch, bump the fence over, run it again, bump the fence over until you got it. You may take 4 or 5 different cuts before you got that right, sometimes longer. Or you may overshoot it and then have to redo the drawer side. So let's take a look at how I can do this with just 2 cuts, using the Incra fence system and also the micro adjust. I've got the saw blade set at about 1/4 of an inch height, it really doesn't matter. And I want that groove to be 1/4 inch off the bottom of this. So I'm going to set this to 1/4 of an inch and make a cut. So I've got my initial 1/8 inch groove here. Now I know that 1/8 inch groove is 8/64 of an inch. And I know this piece of plywood is 13/64 of an inch. So I need an additional 5/64 of an inch. Now on this, it's really simple. There's no guesswork. I don't have to do the bump and pray like I mentioned before. All I need to do is move it back 1/16 of an inch, lock it, and then lower the clamp to half. And now I can use my micro adjust to move this back even further, another 1/64 of an inch. So to do that, I'm going to move this knob towards me. I'm going to add that 1/64 of an inch, and I'm going to give it 1, 2, 3 extra clicks just for a little bit extra clearance, and then lock it down, and I'll make the cut. So right off the saw with the second pass, I was perfect. You're not going to get this kind of fit with a normal table saw fence on the second cut, unless you're really, really lucky. This takes all the guesswork out of it. The repeatability is there, so if you screw a part up and you need to make another one, you go through the same process very quickly, very easily, and very repeatable. An added bonus to this whole system is that if you choose to, you can use your table saw as a router station. You could replace this wing or this wing and put a router table and a lift in here. It really depends on which side your motor's on. And this is available as an accessory. This is Incra's Wonder Fence. If you go to Incra.com, you can look at the different packages there. And that simply slides into the T-track that's on the front of the fence. And again, like I said, that will convert this to a router fence. Now that I've got the Wonder Fence attached, you can use all the jigs and templates that Incra has available to make dovetails, box joints, double dovetails, all kinds of cool stuff. If you've got the router table on this side, this whole carriage is movable. There's 4 locking handles on either side. You just undo those, and then this whole assembly goes to the other side of the table. You simply lock it down, and you've got your router table here. Very, very cool. So if you're all like me and the engineering side of your brain goes into absolute overdrive every time you cut a board for a project, this is the table saw fence system for you. If you want to spend your time making your project and not bumping the fence around to try to get just the right cut, this is the table saw fence system for you. I kept saying it over and over again in this presentation. Accuracy and repeatability. That's what this table saw fence gives you. It also gives you peace of mind knowing that if you want that piece cut at 5 3/16 of an inch, it's going to be cut at 5 3/16 of an inch. You can have absolute blind faith that this system's going to work for you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you later.